All right, I did, but we'll hold off. We'll just do Kingsman then.
Okay. Phenomenon.
Here we go. Chris Scalzo here with
Matt Howell.
On this episode of the First Run, Matt and I are going to discuss Kingsman, The Golden Circle, the sequel to the Matthew Vaughn-led picture starring Taron, I almost said Taylor, Egerton, Mark Strong, Halle Berry, Colin Firth, Elton John, I said Elton John, Channing Tatum, and of course Jeff Bridges. Matt, we're back in the Kingsman world for a return bout. Was it a trip worth taking? We're also going to start our big Halloween month where we're going to go give you the top 5 films of a few Halloween genres. And we're going to start things off with zombies, Matt. Though I'm convinced, and I'm too lazy to look it up, that we must have done this in the past with the zombies. But, you know, tastes change, things change. So we'll see what happens, right? Maybe things will be different.
Sure.
Because inconsistency is the name of the game.
That's right. We reserve the right to change our ironclad opinions at any time.
That's right. So let's start everything off with a clip from Kingsman, The Golden Circle.
You know, my mama, she always told me us Southerners get our good manners from the British. And I was thinking, ain't that a pity? Y'all ain't keep nothing for yourself. Y'all ain't never heard of knocking before you enter.
Well, actually, we had an invitation, didn't we?
Yeah, how did you now?
Yeah, it came in the shape of a bottle. We're from the Kingsman tailor shop in London. Maybe you've heard us.
Oh, the Kingsman? Yeah. Huh. That's where y'all got them fine suits and them fancy spectacles y'all got on.
Exactly. That's right.
Y'all look damn sharp. Let me see if I got it right here. You want me to believe that it's normal for a tailor to hack through an advanced biometric security system with nothing but a little bitty old watch on. I can promise you, that dog don't hunt. So why don't you go on and get down on your knees and tell me who you really work for?
All right, man. So Eggsy is back with his pals to stave off the end of the world. So this time, Julianne Moore plays our villain. She runs, I guess now, the drug cartel, right? She's taken over the world drug trade, and she's introduced a poison into her drugs, and she's going to blackmail the planet in order to release the cure. And it's up to the Kingsmen, what's left of them, to hook up with their American cousins, the Statesmen, to save the world. Matt, where did you come down on the initial Kingsman film? I'm having trouble remembering your thoughts.
Yeah, I was trying to remember my thoughts too. I think I didn't love it. I mean, it was fun and it was dumb fun, and a lot of the action scenes were really good, and Samuel L. Jackson was a lot of fun. So, I mean, I liked it. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't rush out and buy it or anything like that, but I it was okay. It was fun.
I enjoyed it enough to buy it. In fact, I rewatched the first film prior to going to see the sequel myself. And I enjoyed it more on a second viewing than I did, I think, the first time. I think maybe, I thought maybe just the hyper-violence and just the general kind of mocking tone of the Bond films in a way didn't sit well with me. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if it's just my Bond aficionado-ness, which I don't think is a word. But I enjoyed it enough. And I think part of it is the appeal of Taron Egerton, who plays Eggsy, our star. I do like him. He was also in Eddie the Eagle. I don't know if you ever had a chance to catch up with that, which is a entertaining family kind of film. So I was kind of excited for the sequel. I thought, well, the sequel, you have an opportunity to improve on stuff and make a larger film, a better film, perhaps. though I've been burned with that in the past because of the Jack Reacher series.
Right.
If you want to hear me go on a rant, you can check out that Jack Reacher Never Go Back show because, man, that upset me. So, anyway, how do you feel about the Golden Circle, Matt? Are things improved? Are you happier this time out? Are you anxious for maybe a third film in this series? Where'd you land on the Golden Circle?
I can say I was very underwhelmed by the Golden Circle. A lot of that sense of fun, I don't know what it is, is gone from this film. I mean, the action scenes are still really hyperkinetic and they're shot pretty fun to watch. And, I thought those were the best parts of the film, but everything around it didn't really have anything to carry it or recommend it. I mean, Julianne Moore is nowhere near as fun as Samuel L. Jackson as the villain. Mark Strong is fun, but I mean, you miss, the play from the first one of the original Agent Galahad, and I'm blanking on the actor's name, so I apologize. And then the Statesman, Colin Firth, thank you. The Statesman, it seems like a wasted opportunity. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but Channing Tatum basically is out of it after like a few minutes, and then you have the guy who was in Game of Thrones doing a Southern accent. I mean, it just doesn't sell. It just doesn't sell. I thought it was a big wasted opportunity the way they did it. So the action scenes are okay, but I mean, unfortunately, that's not enough to carry them like it did this time or the first time.
How do you feel about the 2 hour and 21 minute runtime?
Yeah, it was long. Yeah, it could have definitely. I mean, there's really no reason any action movie should be that long. I mean, there's a few exceptions to the rule, but no. It's like a comedy. No comedy should be over really 90 minutes, in my opinion, by a lot.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. I think that I think if you like the first film, I think you're gonna like this one. This is just more amped up stuff of what you saw before. I think part of maybe the Julianne Moore issue is that she's more presented as set design, right? Her layer and everything about her is more aesthetics, I felt, than it was real kind of as a fleshed out villainous character. I didn't really get it, the appeal as much as I did, like you said, with Sam Jackson. It's more her volcano layer, if you will, as a node to the Bond films. So I agree with you with a lot of that stuff. I think, one of the notes I have is, hey, let's waste Channing Tatum. So as we all know, we've always been huge fans of Channing Tatum on this show. So, in fact, not quite. We do have what we refer to as the Tatum line, which you can track down, which is always fun. But yeah, Tatum's wasted, but then kind of brought back in the end, right, for a little potential sequel action, maybe. I got to admit, I am curious to see if that does indeed come off. If they do make a third film, if Tatum does he adopt an English accent, basically, is what I want to know.
I hope not.
I think that's going to be a real challenge for Mr. Tatum.
He wasn't even very good at the Southern accent, if I'm being quite honest.
So yeah, but I like Egerton's Cockney. So I'm kind of excited to see if he pulls off something like that. It's weird what it is, why the affection I have for that accent is. Like some of my favorite Bowie songs is when he invokes that accent. And one of the things that plays over and over again in my head is when Eggy's talking to the lasso guy, the guy that is the statesman that helps him, Whiskey.
Yeah.
When he says he says what does he call it? Your rope, and he goes, it's a lasso. He's like, whatever. But it's how he says the whatever is just, I don't know what it is. I just find so damn appealing. I don't know what that says about me. But overall, the whole film, I kind of felt hollow to me. It did feel just, I don't know, where are we going? What are we doing? Right. I know it's just a bigger kind of film, but it didn't have the same pop or interest for me as the first one did. I don't know. It's fine. I really feel that's where I come down, is that it's fine. I don't think you need to rush out to the theater to see this. Maybe wait for HBO or Netflix or Blu-ray, whatever. I think then it's worth your time, at least in regards to the action scenes. And Egerton's performance is exceptionally likable, I think, again. So, but that's all I can really say. It's fine.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's fine, but I would say, when I say it's fine, this is when I have to say the first Kingsman, I would say it's fine. And then this one, I would say it's fine. So it's like there's a very subtle distinction here between the two. I mean, it's definitely a degree lower than the first one.
Do you think it needs a change in director and writer? Do you think Matthew Vaughn needs a step back, or do you think it doesn't? It's such his baby at this point. Does it really even matter?
I mean,
if they were to make a third one.
Visually, I thought it was fine. I mean, I thought the action scenes were fine. I think the way he shot everything was fine. I think maybe he needs to step back from the writing, so maybe it'd be a more coherent story, or maybe it's not just him. I don't know who the writing credits are, but I think you're right. I mean, the story just kind of meanders, and that's not the kind of film that you want for this kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, I'd be curious to see a third one, as long as they don't waste Channing Tatum, although I would love him to be in his bowler hat and still speaking with a Southern accent. I think that would be pretty awesome. But so I mean, I am kind of down to see that, but I can't tell you, I'm not super excited. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get a third one.
Yeah, I don't know how well this one's doing, so I wouldn't anticipate getting a third one at this point, which is too bad, I think, really. I enjoy these enough, that I would go see another one in the theater. And Egerton says he'd like to do one more, and that's it.
Right.
But we'll see. Anyway, he co-wrote the screenplay with Jane Goldman. Matthew Vaughn first hooked up with her for X-Men, I believe, the First Class. Okay. And she also she did write maybe not though, because she wrote Kick-Ass and then Stardust and some other stuff as well. So, but yeah, how are we doing? So, well, you know what, the budget was 104 and it's made 215.
So we may get a third one, but maybe a reduced budget third one.
Yeah, likely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you had a chance to see Kingsman: The Golden Circle, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us an email at feedback@thefirstrun.com. Matt, what would you give this as a letter grade?
I'd give it a gentleman's C, which I think is perfect for the subject matter in this film.
Yeah, I'm at C plus. I'm even leaning towards B minus, just because for me for Egerton. But I think I'll sit on the C plus with reserving judgment later. How'd you feel about the Elton John cameo?
Stupid, overplayed. There was so much in there that, I mean, it would have been fine if they'd had him in there once, but yeah, he is not an actor. Let's just say that.
Yeah, it didn't work for me at all. I don't know what it was. No. The whole point, right? So at the end of the last film, all the celebrities and all the bigwigs go hide up in the wherever the hell they are, the Arctic or something. And so Julianne Moore's character decides to capture Elton John because she's such a big fan, and because all the celebrities have gone missing anyway. So I agree. I don't know what, it just didn't really bring anything to me. I don't know what it was. I really felt it should have been funnier or more interesting. Maybe the point is like what you said, is that it's too much. He has a large role in the film, but he comes back a few times, and maybe to his detriment. All right, Matt, let's move on. Let's talk about what's coming up on Blu-ray and DVD this upcoming Tuesday. That's October 10th. Criterion is giving us The Lure. Have you heard of The Lure?
Nope.
It's the bold debut by Polish director Agnieszka Smaczyńska. It's a horror musical mashup. It follows a pair of carnivorous mermaid sisters drawn ashore to explore life on land in an alternate 1980s Poland. Their tantalizing siren songs and otherworldly auras make them overnight sensations as nightclub singers in the half-glam, half-decrepit world of you son of a bitch, Smaczyńska's imagining. The director gives fierce teeth to her visceral, sensual, darkly feminist twist on Hans Christian Andersen's The Little Mermaid. It's supposed to be pretty good. I'd heard about it. Came out a year or so ago, and it's getting released by Criterion. So it includes a high-definition digital transfer supervised by the director of photography, a new program on the making of the film, some deleted scenes as well, and 2 short films by the director, Araya Diva and Viva Maria. Criterion is also giving us Orson Welles' small-budget adaptation of Othello. Includes a new restored 4K digital transfer of 2 versions of the film, the 52 European version and the 55 US and UK one. Includes a new interview with Welles' biographer Simon Callow and a bunch of other interviews as well. Audio commentary from the 1995 featuring filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich and Orson Welles scholar Myron Meisel, some other stuff. Matt, do you remember the uproar isn't the attention to the horror film, the Poughkeepsie tapes from back in was that the early aughts?
Yeah. It's like this kind of white whale of like found footage films where it was like screened once or a few times and you can't get it anywhere.
Well, Scream Factory is releasing it on Tuesday.
Oh wow!
I've heard how it's supposed to be. So what? It's a serial killer or a couple killers. They go in the house and they basically they torture people to death, and they film it on like their home video or whatever. And this is it's one of those found footage things. The police find all the tapes of what these guys did, and from what I understand, it's actually not that good.
Okay.
I've read it online. It's the problem is that the acting is very amateurish, though it's executed reasonably well. Well, now finally is your chance to check out what all the hullabaloo was about. Arrow is also releasing Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast on Blu-ray. If you're not familiar with the Godfather of Gore, this is one of his better-known films. And then the first film, is it the first film? Yeah, it is. Thank you, Chris, for doing your research. From Inarritu, who gave us Birdman and, of course, The Revenant. Amoros Perros is about the intersection. There's an accident, a terrible car crash, and these three different storylines, how they kind of all intersect. I've always wanted to see Amoros Perros. I've sadly never gotten around to it, and it's now getting released on Blu-ray, including some deleted scenes, making a featurette and an audio commentary. The film The House, Matt, is being released. This is the one with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler, where they have to pay for their daughter's college, so they set up a casino in their house. Abysmal ratings, but I love everybody involved with this thing, so I definitely want to check it out. Include some deleted scenes, extended and alternate scenes, a gag reel, and, of course, that wine-orama. Hey, that's my phone.
What?
So anyway, The Beguiled is being released as well. The Sofia Coppola film includes a Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy, ultraviolet pass, and a couple behind-the-scenes featurettes. Then, Matt, the big release this week.
What is it?
Baby Driver being released on Blu-ray. Yeah. Includes 20 minutes of extended and deleted scenes and a whole bunch of featurettes on the making of this film. Also, director commentary and an additional filmmaker commentary that is Edgar Wright, as well as a director of photography, Bill Pope. So this is a day one pickup for me. Matt, I'm not sure you'll probably be getting around and grabbing Baby Driver at some point. Still at this point, my favorite film of the year. But I'll have to see about that. You're going to grab that?
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to ask you. I mean, do you think this is going to stick through the stay your favorite film? Like, what are the odds this thing is going to stay your favorite film of the year?
Probably not too good. There's a lot of great stuff coming out. But, well, we got a P.T. Anderson film coming out. So we'll see how that works. And, of course, there's Justice League. So.
I'm pretty confident it's going to be two. Pretty confident it's going to be two.
All right. And then finally, Matt, your straight-to-DVD pick of the week is The Female Fight Squad. Dolph Lundgren adds power to the gritty tale of Rebecca, a female fighter who abandons the ring after a brutal tragedy. When her sister Kate begs for help to repay a deadly debt, Rebecca enters the world of illegal underground fighting and resumes the role of Bex the Beast. While training Kate's team, Rebecca must confront the cruel, dangerous promoter who threatened her sister's life and that of her frail young daughter. Some more Dolph Lundgren action coming at you. What should we be streaming this week?
Sticking with the horror theme, I'm going to go with a movie that came out just this week on Netflix. We reviewed it for the show. We had mixed reviews, so you may be wondering, why am I recommending this? It's French werewolf vampire, sort of. Interesting, different of horror film. Kind of made a lot of noise at the film festival circuit. So, you know, if you haven't seen it, if you're into kind of that arty horror, this is something to check out early in the month and as you progress here.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough. Matt. All right. Well, Matt let everybody down. I'm just going to call him out. We're going to discuss Gerald's game because that's what it says here, but it's fine. We'll hold off a week. I did get to see it. Matt, did you see something else, though, right? Did you want to share your thoughts on something else, or do you want to pocket that as well?
No, we can talk about it. So I went and took my daughter to go see the Lego Ninjago film. Now, as you know, as a loyal listener of the show, me and Chris were big fans of the Lego movie, which is fantastic. We really enjoyed the Batman Lego movie, which was definitely had the jokes for Fast and Furious for people who are of a certain bent and knowledge base, which we are. So we are the audience. So we enjoyed that quite a bit. But this one, yeah, it's not. It's nowhere near on the same level as those two previous entries. They're kind of going back to that. Maybe one time too many. The jokes are in there. They're kind of flat. The kids will like it, but it's going to have that kind of broader reaching appeal of the earlier two Lego entries, unfortunately. So if you're a parent, you can skip it if that's what you're hoping to get. But your kids will like it. So there you go.
I'm sorry to hear a little bit of a letdown from the Lego folks. So this is the next Lego movie that comes out next year, right?
Yeah, I think that's the true proper sequel to Lego, the first Lego movie.
We'll have to see if that holds up or if we're on a downward trend.
Yeah. And then I also caught up with Tom Cruise's American Made, which is the story of Barry Seal. Barry Seal was a American drug smuggler and pilot from the 1980s. And this basically tells a story that implies that he was working for the CIA, initially on surveillance, and then he started running guns for them to the Contras. And while he was running guns, he basically decided to start selling the guns to the Colombians, the Medellin cartel, and then transporting back their cocaine. And it's basically the story of him, kind of his rise and fall from making all this money and the kind of crazy, we'll put in air quotes, true story. So it's kind of like your standard middling Tom Cruise feature. It's competently made, it's competently acted, but it's not anything that you're going to remember, going forward. I mean, it's fine. It's a decent time if you want to watch a movie with your mom and dad or go out on a date or something like that. But it's not anything groundbreaking for sure.
I did want to check that out. Maybe I'll wait for home video at this point, given that underwhelming recommendation. Not recommendation, but your thoughts about it. That's fair enough. All right. I heard the reviews are pretty good, so
yeah, like I said, it's not bad. It's just not great. It's kind of going for this kind of whole slice of life crime thing, like in the the Scorsese vein, but it just never reaches kind of beyond its kind of like it's okay status. I mean, it's not bad. There's nothing bad about it, but it's not really that good either.
I feel like that film to me looked like just Tom Cruise. You know, like he was. It just watching the trailers, it looked like he was miscast for that role. It didn't seem to fit what was happening, or it just didn't look right to me. I don't know. Did you get that vibe at all from that, or am I just? Or the trailer is just poorly put together?
No, I mean, I think that's true. I mean, this really is. I mean, Tom Cruise is kind of like, there he is, Tom Cruise. It kind of takes yourself out of it. I mean, and he's doing his Tom Cruise shtick, which either can work really well or it can kind of into an air of unreality to the whole thing. And what's really interesting is I was curious enough to look up the real Barry Seal. He looks nothing like the real Barry Seal. I mean, the real Barry Seal was like this, middle-aged, tubby, guy. And of course they've got, Tom Cruise up on the friggin' thing, with his star power stuff. So, yeah, they should have done the whole like chubby Matt Damon thing. That's what they should have done for Barry Seal.
Ooh, that would have been good.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is with me and Cruise. I don't have a problem with him with the Mission Impossibles or the Jack Reachers. I have problems with the films, but I don't have a problem with him in those roles. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe I'm stuck in franchise-itis with Tom Cruise at this point.
Yeah, I think with Tom Cruise, I mean, I like him in his action roles, and I really like him in his science fiction roles because we thought Edge of Tomorrow was really good. Minority Report is a classic. I think he's really good in those kinds of things. Hell, I think even War of the Worlds is underappreciated. But yeah, his kind of stuff like this, it's kind of more not in those kind of genre veins. I'm not a huge fan of his work.
Fair enough. All right, Matt. Let's move on then. Let's jump into the last segment of the show, and we're going to run down what we think are the 5 best zombie movies you should be checking out this Halloween. But let's hear a clip from the one that started it all.
Well, you used to really be scared here.
Johnny.
You're still afraid.
Stop it now. I mean it.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
Johnny.
Things don't end well for Johnny. That, of
No, they
course,
don't.
is from George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, the first big zombie film that introduced pretty much the whole genre.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes of that film. I love that. They're coming to get you, Barbara. Classic.
Entirely is. So, Matt, all right. Why don't you start things off then? Let's run it down. What's the fifth best zombie film you would recommend for the Halloween, or your favorite? Or
The Halloween.
we want to couch this?
Sure. Okay. So this is going to be. I've brought this up before, but this is going to be a bold statement. It's going to be a divisive statement. I'm going to go with Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. Now, hear me out. We know we're not a huge fan of Zack Snyder on this show, but I think it was his first film, and whether you can certainly argue whether it was necessary to remake Dawn of the Dead, and this kind of really brought on the whole sprinting zombies thing that we see a lot of kind of going through. But I'm telling you, those first 15 minutes where the zombie apocalypse is just starting to happen and nobody knows what's going on, that is some really effective stuff, and that is some it's really, really good, and it's a good, scary, tense 15 minutes. So while the rest of the film is decent, I mean, just for that beginning alone, I think it's worth just checking out for the zombie movie catalog.
No, I agree with you. That is another two, not quite great, but well, I don't know. It's pretty good, but it's a frustrating film because how good it could be. Is 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah.
The opening 10 minutes of that film too are just absolutely terrifying and intense. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching just for that. I mean, it's really, really good. So, all right, Matt. So let's move on then. I'll tell you what my number 5 is, and that's Demons, the original Demons film. Do you ever see Demons? I would imagine you have, but I don't know.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
So, what I love about Demons is that it's, of course, directed by Umberto Bava, who's an acolyte of Dario Argento. And a group of kids go to watch a horror film. And what happens is how do I describe it? So one of them gets a scratch on their face, right? And then they start to attack and kill each other. When they bite one, the other one becomes infected, and it moves in and goes on throughout the theater. So and everybody, you're just trying to survive and get out. Now, I firmly believe that these are zombies and demons. I don't think that they're demons. I don't think they get possessed by being scratched or bitten, and then I think they act like zombies. Everything they do is like a zombie. So I don't know. That's why I would make the argument that Demons is a zombie film. And it's my number 5. It's got all the stuff you're looking for. And in the 80s, it's got the over-the-top gore. It's got the music, the lighting, how everything's done. It's just classic stuff. So you can make your arguments. Go ahead and refute me. But I do think Demons falls under the zombie heading.
That's fair. And then you know what? I'm going to say something right now. I didn't pick any of the Italian zombie films because I knew you would probably pick them all. So or at least they would somewhere be on the list.
I only had 2.
Okay, well, there you go. All right, so my number 4 is Shaun of the Dead, Edgar Wright's first entry in the Cornetto trilogy. It's probably one of the best films I'm going to talk about today, but I put it low on the list because it's not really a horror film. It's more of a comedy. It does have its scary moments, but it's certainly much more focused on the jokes than it is on the horror. But it has a deep understanding of kind of these types of films, and it kind of plays with all of the conventions of the genre. And just, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are just great, and it's a lot of fun to watch. And if you haven't seen it, I don't even know why you're listening to the show. Go out and watch it right now.
Yeah, I think Shaun of the Dead, if we should do that at some point, Matt, maybe the next anniversary episode, just kind of put the list of the first run films.
Yeah.
Just kind of come up with like a top 10 list of films that represent the show. And I think Shaun of the Dead would definitely be, maybe even the Cornetto trilogy is a cheat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's an interesting pick. My number 4 then is Zombie, which is my last Italian horror film directed by Lucio Fulci. It's his most, I think it's his most famous film. And there's a boat that floats into the New York harbor there by the Statue of Liberty, and the police go to investigate, and they get attacked by a zombie. And then, of course, we fast forward, or go back, I should say rewind, go back in time and see the origination of the boat and what happened. And they're on an island. There is this virus that breaks out and turns everybody to zombies. And it stars Ian McCullough and Tisa Farrow, people who spent a lot of time in Fulci's films. But it is one of the more over-the-top, gory films you will ever see. There is a particularly famous scene with a woman and a piece of wood that's cracked and so the zombies are trying to get through her door, and she's peeking through the door, and then the zombie's hand breaks through the door and grabs her by the head, and then slowly brings her head into the piece of wood that's all sharp and extended out, and it gets closer and closer to her eye, and then things go horribly, horribly wrong for her. And it's just that kind of over the top gore. And this is, of course, the one where the zombie fights the shark. So if you haven't seen that, you really haven't lived. So Zombie is one of my favorites. It's my number 4.
That sounds like a fantastic film. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've obviously never seen it because I remember all that stuff. So yeah.
You need to check it out then this Halloween. Make a date. Find a way.
Make a date. I will. I'll figure it out somehow. All right. So my number 3 is a Spanish zombie film. It's Wreck. I know we have talked about it many times, but essentially it's about a zombie outbreak that follows a news crew that goes into an apartment building that's been quarantined. And essentially they kind of go through the levels of horror because all of the residents are basically zombies and they get trapped in there. So it's this weird cross of found footage and zombie film. It's really, really effective. There is an English version of this, a remake called Quarantine, which, to be honest, is not bad, but it's nowhere near as good as Wreck is. So definitely check out Wreck if you haven't seen it. And there are other Wrecks which get worse as you go along. So just the first one's pretty money, and they get quickly worse after that.
I don't know. I think the second one's really good. I think maybe you enjoy it more than the first one.
Okay.
But I agree with you after that. Though I still haven't seen the fourth one, which is on Netflix. So I think maybe that's the one on the ship, the cruise liner.
Okay.
So I'll have to add that to my October viewing. There's a few things I'd like to squeeze in. Man, I've always wanted to do that 31 horror films in 31 days thing, but I just, I'm too popular.
That's right. We're very busy people.
So we're halfway through the list, Matt. So I have a palate cleanser for everybody then. And that, of course, is Shaun of the Dead.
Of course.
One of the more fun films. And I think it's when you're watching all this dark, oppressive horror, it's nice to kind of squeeze in something to kind of lighten the mood a little bit before you dive in to finish everything up. So Shaun of the Dead is, I think, is it okay to say it's a modern day classic? I think it's really good. It's a lot of fun, very funny, and how it handles how it parodies the zombie genre without mocking it. It's done lovingly, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. If you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead, just again, like you might have to watch Zombie. Everybody, go ahead and blind buy Shaun of the Dead. If you don't like it, go ahead and email the receipt to us at the first run. Feedback at the first run, and then I'll probably not refund you. Yeah. But still, number 3 for me, Shaun of the Dead.
All right, that's very fair. All right, so my number 2 is Danny Boyle's first film, 28 Days Later. Now, this is, some people argue with you because they're not, the zombies are not dead, they're infected, but it's a zombie film, and Danny Boyle says as much. But essentially, this is about a virus gets out, takes over Britain, sweeps quickly through Britain, and it follows a survivor who's been in a coma for 28 days, and he wakes up to basically find London empty. The whole way they do it is just it's just awesome, just how empty London is, and just how you can kind of see the aftermath of all this stuff that happened, and it's a really good solid zombie film, scary, good action, well acted. So yeah, it's a classic.
Yeah, no, that is a classic film, and we get the super fast zombies in that too, where they can run.
Right,
Though I think that first appeared in my number 2. It really kicked into gear, I think, with 28 Days Later, and again, a good solid sequel of 28 Weeks Later. If you haven't seen it, well worth your time. Yeah, 28 Days Later, I don't know. I don't enjoy the ending of that as much. Still, it's still really good. And yeah, so that's a good pick, Matt. My number 2 then is Dan O'Bannon's Return of the Living Dead from 1985 to kind of keep the comedy vein going, but still has the scares, I think.
Yeah.
And it has some fantastic gore shots in this film. And this is also the first film, Matt, that started the brains thing.
Right.
Return of the Living Dead is where the focus on brains started. So it's got a great kind of, you know, the hard rock metal music in it. It's just it's a perfect just coming together of everything for the zombie film. You want to see how it's done perfectly right. I mean, granted, maybe my number 1 is the absolute pinnacle of the genre, obviously, but still, when you want to throw in some humor and just have a great scary time, I think The Return of the Living Dead is pitch perfect. It truly is. So that's my number 2.
All right. So my number 1 is what we led the show off with, or led this segment off with. It's Night of the Living Dead. I don't see how it can be anything else. Obviously, George A. Romero's first foray into the zombie genre, as Chris said, it basically established all of the kind of rules of of zombies. Although I don't know if the whole shooting them in the head thing was established here, but yeah, basically, it's about these people from disparate backgrounds. They get trapped in this farmhouse and they're surrounded by zombies trying to get in. And really just the whole way that Romero shoots it, kind of the news reports and the kind of the distrust among the survivors and, you know, the tension in between them, plus the threat outside. It's kind of, it establishes all those kinds of things that you have, that they've done ad infinitum in every zombie movie since, basically. And you know what, for as little budget as this thing is, and you know, the black and white and made in the 60s, it still holds up really, really, really well. And honestly, you can literally get this thing anywhere because it's in public domain. It wasn't copyrighted, and you can get it anywhere. You could download this and mess with it for yourself if you wanted to.
That's a great pick, Matt. It's not the right pick, but it's a good one. Obviously, the best zombie film of all time is Dawn of the Dead. A sequel helmed by Romero. It took him 10 years to get it off the ground. But they have $1.5 million budget, a lot more money this time around, and it's a much wider, expansive film. There's a lot more going on in this one. There's a little more social commentary even than we get in the first film about American consumerism, but still, and the humor, but also the humanity in this film is what makes the horror so stark and terrifying. And of course, this is where we really start to see Tom Savini and some of his initial gore effects for the zombie films is in this film. And it's an absolutely fantastic film. It's because not only is it scary, it's also at sometimes very dramatic, heartwarming, funny. It's got everything, and it's a zombie film. So I think you're right that Night of the Living Dead kind of set the mold of everything, but this is where everything gets fleshed out and everything gets hammered in and completed. So Dawn of the Dead for me is the best zombie film.
Yeah. See, I like Dawn of the Dead, but it's like you said, they kind of turned it up everything to 11, whereas Night of the Living Dead's tense from basically the first shot to the end of it, whereas this, he indulges in some kind of some things that are a little over the top 70s grindhouse, like the bikers riding through the horde of zombies through the mall and the climax, it's fun to watch. It's really a lot of fun to watch, but it's like, you know, it's like he had $1.5 million and he was going to use every penny of it. Damn it. Bikers would be cool.
That's true. So do you have any honorable mentions? I mean, I feel like we could talk about honorable mentions for another hour or two.
Yeah, we could. So I'll try and blow through them really quick. Dawn of the Dead, the original. Return of the Living Dead, which was Chris's number 2. I just want to point out everything Chris said is right about this, but also go into it knowing this is absolutely everything, one of the most 80 films of all times. There's nudity for no reason. You know, there's like a naked chick just dancing in the graveyard, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's really, really, really 80s. So if you're into that kind of thing, you're going to love it, but it's something you have to see if you haven't seen it. Zombieland, which is a good comedy. Warm Bodies, which is actually not bad. It's okay. Train to Busan, Night of the Creeps, Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and Slither.
Yeah, I want to watch Slither again. I've been meaning to revisit that. I haven't seen that in a very long time, and I remember really liking it. No Reanimator for you, huh?
I didn't really count that as a zombie film. I mean, yes, there are undead in it, but I just didn't. You don't have the kind of, large groups of zombies, which I think is really critical to any kind of zombie film.
Mm-hmm. I would have to include, I think Fulci's The Beyond would classify. And in fact, if you go back in time, you'd probably see that was on my list. Also, Fulci's City of the Living Dead has got some crazy moments in it. The first two Rec films for me, like we talked about, I will give you the Zack Snyder remake. I think that's pretty good. Romero's Comeback, which is the one with Land of the Dead, is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
As well as Day of the Dead is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the Zombieland as well. And then World War Z, I think, is really successful at times. So, and talking about a film with a bad story, right? I mean, that thing looked like it was going to be a disaster during the production of it, and they seemed to save it. It was actually really enjoyable. So, all right. I'm sure we've missed a bunch. Shoot us an email, feedback@thefirstrun.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Matt, next week, what are we talking about next week, Matt?
The Big One. We're talking about The Big One, one of our most anticipated films of the rest of the year.
Did you see that it's not tracking well?
I know. This is, guys, you got to get out there and watch this thing. And I haven't even seen it yet. And it could be good. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is bad, but I doubt it. I doubt it highly.
Well, the Rotten Tomatoes score is really good, but it's tracking for what, like 20, 30 million, maybe 20, maybe 35 max. I posted last night on the Facebook page, like, this is why we can't have nice things.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Go see this. Now, granted, I'm not going to see it opening weekend. I always go on cheapy night, but I am going to go see this in the Dolby Theater. So I will be paying my $12 or something either way instead of the 18 I think I would normally be charged. But I don't understand people. Anyway, Blade Runner 2049 is what we'll be checking out. Again, Matt, the 2048th sequel to the Blade Runner franchise.
Hopefully you get it right this time.
Twitter the other day, and I was going to say something, but I'm assuming they didn't see it from us. All right. I'm sure we're the only ones that have made that joke.
That's true. We own it.
That's right. So we're going to take an extended break then. Check us out, as always, at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, thefirstrun.com itself. We'll be there. And we'll see you guys all in a week. Take care now.
Who's this man?
Austin Powers.
Doc said Michael Myers.
This is Mike Myers.
It should be the Halloween man.
This is a Halloween mask.
No, the killer dude from Halloween.
Oh, you mean Jason?
No!